Live from Hack Shack Studios, I should say. Live from Hack Shack Studios, RT Bear here. How are you? How is everyone on this fantastic day? It is a beautiful day in Southern California. It's a little warm. It's a little warm. We're preparing for summer, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything's good. I'm gonna have to bust out the fans and we have little portable air conditioning units for the studio. I'm gonna have to bust those out soon. Preparing for the heat, but it's all good, man. We had a good winter and a good spring, and summer should be awesome. It does get a little hot in the summertime here in SoCal, but we make do. Somehow we always make do. So as always, you guys, Sign Up Life. Perfect timing. We got Mike Harrison. What's up? What's up? What's up? We got Studio 7.62. Hail. Gaming or Watch trademark. Hail, hail, hail. We have Shadowhawk. Hell the T-Bear. I'm going to have a friend in here. A friend in buns. You got a friend in buns. How are you, my friend? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Joe can't hear me. Can you hear me now, Joe? Joe, are you there? There might be a delay. So while we're waiting for Joe, maybe I should see. Go back. I'm going to give Joe a little bit of time. So Joe says he's got no audio for some reason, audio amigo. So he's going to work on that. And I guess I'll hang out with you guys in the chat and give you an overview of what we're going to do today. I'm going to draw a little bit. I'm going to try to get some drawing done. I'm working on this. Is probably all blown out. Let me see if I can move the camera a little bit or the light. You can't really see. Nope, you can't really see. So maybe if I move it back, you can kind of start seeing it now. It's a shot of white. It's a commission. And, ooh, actually, even I look better without this. Yeah. I'll turn it there. So, yeah, so this is what I'm going to be working on. Try to finish it. Well, I'm probably not going to be able to finish it up, but I'll work on it sporadically. This is my light box. I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna have the camera on my monitor, and then I got my lap. Well, it's my light box, and I'll use it as a lap board, and then I can draw and talk right to you guys. My head will probably be like this most of the time, though, so it might be boring. But that's why we got Joe. Let's try it again. Are you ready, Joe? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Joe?
Yep, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Let me try this layout. Yeah, this layout's better. Yeah, so how you been, brother?
Oh, my kids are just going insane. They've got cabin fever so bad.
So can you take them to the park or just run around the block or something like that?
We do that when we can, but it's kind of it's almost a crapshoot because a lot of other people are doing the same thing. So we have to try to get outside, but not get too close to anyone else. And so, yeah, we're having mixed success with that.
Yeah, well, kids are kids. You know, they're going to do what they're going to do. Yeah, I'm glad Amanda's older, but we still have concerns because she has not missed a day of work. So she is still working her barista job. So she's taking her health into her hands. So when you guys go, especially in Corona here off Green River, be nice to those people and tip them. You would be surprised how many people are complete a-holes right now. I don't understand people. It seems like we would all be, moving in the same direction, looking out for each other. But man, the story she tells, one guy didn't get his way Oh, that's what it was. It was leaking a little bit. You know, when you put the straw on the top, sometimes if
Yeah.
it's overfull a little bit, it'll go out. And
Right.
usually I look at it as just like, oh, a little bonus. You kind of sip off the top and then you go your
Right.
way in the drive-through.
Yeah.
Well, this guy was like, you overfilled my drink. And then my daughter was like, well, if you just take a sip, it'll go down and everything will be fine. And he's like, I want another one. And she's like, just take a sip. And so the guy just like sped off, and then he stopped his car, got out, and threw his drink at the building.
Wow.
Not kidding. Not kidding. Yeah. So, yeah, this is what my daughter's out there in the real world dealing with some crazy people. So you guys be nice, man, and tip those baristas. They take a lot of abuse from you guys. Well, not from everybody, but there's some bad people out there. So, hey, we got Bob. What's up, Bob? Sup.
What about Bob?
We got some Hail Thunder buns. We got Wiggle Wiggle. Oh, wait, that's not Wiggle Wiggle. It moved. Wiggle Wiggle. I like saying Wiggle Wiggle. I like that almost as much as saying Thunder buns. Oh, man, we got Zach, too. This is like a pontificator show.
Yeah, look at that. They're all coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Hail. All right. Well, I was going to lay out the show. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw a little bit, and we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever Joe wants to throw our way. And we're going to do the giveaway raffle. So we're going to raffle off that artwork. So we have, what do we have, like an hour countdown, I think, to that moment. So in an hour, we're going to do the raffle. So the idea, the rules here are, let me give you a little bit of backstory here. So I have a little project called Chrono Mechanics Retrofit. It is in demand right now, and these are crowdfund projects. This is a comic book, a creator-owned comic book. They do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. And we had a big couple days. So we met our stretch goal of 40K, and we're well past that now. So $40,169 with 540 backers. So yesterday I said at 539 backers, if we get 4 backers in 24 hours, then I will give a piece of artwork away. So in the description, there is a link to Chrono, so check it out. And you guys can kind of get up to speed on what I'm talking about. And then let me cut back and I'll show you the artwork that I will be giving away. If we need 3 more, we need 3 more backers, you guys. So we're going to kind of keep going with this thing until we can get 3 backers. And then at 3 backers, we'll do the big raffle. And the raffle is, let's see if the camera can pick it up, is this wonderful Gigantor piece of artwork. Let me do it this way. So I inked this up yesterday on the live stream, and a little bit of backstory on this is Mike Mignola has been doing these fantastic kind of pop culture drawings, and I'm not sure why he's doing it. He's just doing it, and they're coming out terrific. And I did one the other day of Dr. Sin, and so this is another childhood favorite, which was Gigantor. And when I saw this, I was like, I got to ink this up. And then I did a poll in the chat, and you guys said, yeah, let's do some more giveaway. So that's where we're at. So what we did, I did a little bit more work, you guys. I'm a perfectionist. So I did some, you can't really see it, some ink wash in the background over here, actually over here. So I did a little extra work on this. So we gave this away in a live stream a couple days ago, like 5 days ago. And we did the same thing where we did like 4 or 5 backers. If we got 4 or 5 backers in a 24-hour period, we would give this artwork away absolutely free, no strings attached. And we're going to use your backer number on your on the Indiegogo, and then we'll do a number generator. and we'll pick a number, and then we'll give a piece of artwork away. So that one's given away, the Dr. Sin, but this is the one that we're going to give away today. So if you want to get in the running for this wonderful Mike Mignola RT Bear Jam of Gigantor, we need 3 more backers, and then we can do the number generator and the raffle. And when you guys can get that fantastic piece of artwork, does that sound good, Joe?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So I think that's everything we need so far. So do you have any stories, Joe? Do you have any razzle, any dazzle?
Well, if you want, we could talk about other stuff in the same vein as Gigantor.
Ooh.
Other giant robots. I pulled up an article that talked about 6 different giant robots from the time of Gigantor up through the 80s that have had a big influence on manga and anime.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. Is it an article, or are you just going to read it?
Yeah, it's an article.
Okay. Cool.
Are you going to be doing some drawing on camera?
I was thinking I was going to do it this way, but actually...
I mean, if you're not set up for it, that's...
Yeah, I thought I'd just kind of hold it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're going to do it this way. Although, having hindsight, it probably would have been better if I set up the camera.
Yeah, so is that... was that one of the... I should ask, is that an original white sketch, or is that something out of the book?
This is a commission, so this is original.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question from Spirit Scar. He wants to know if the Dr. Sin sketch winner claimed their drawing.
Yeah, it was a valid number, so we did get that. And one of the things about the drawing today is everybody that's backed a Chrono book will be eligible for this raffle. So from backer 1 to backer, what are we at, 540? So it would be 543. Will all be eligible for the raffle.
And I'm taking my backer number out of the running.
That would be weird, right?
I mean, I don't know if it would actually happen that my number would get drawn, but just in case there's any doubts, if it ever did happen, I would politely decline and ask you to draw again.
Well, did you hear that story I told about the Guns and Metallica?
Yeah, I sure did. That's what made me think of it.
My brother won the damn raffle, and everybody was going to hang me. That's the closest I've ever come to a public execution, and it was going to be mine.
Oh, Spirit Scar is wanting me to clarify. Apparently, I didn't ask his full question. It was, did the sketch winner claim their drawing, or did they succumb to the you-know-what?
Oh, man, that dude's got a dark humor, man.
He's got a grim streak.
It's funny because, like, most of the time it's all like, yeah, it's cool, Spirit Scar, he's all above board, and then every once in a while there's like this really out of nowhere dark like message. Well, I don't know, is that wishful thinking on your part, Spirit Scar? Well, I want to do something right now. Let's do this as we keep moving forward. All right, so we have 540 backers right now. Let me hit this little refresh. 541. So all we need is 2 more backers, you guys. 2 more backers, and we can do this. We can do this this raffle. So very cool, man. Let's keep this party crazy.
Yeah, Shadowhawk just backed, so that added 1 more. So 3 to go, right?
Thank you. No, 2 more. Only 2 more.
Oh, now we're down to 2 more. Oh, great.
Yeah. Thank you, Shadowhawk. You're awesome.
Yeah, rock on. So, Art, I know that you talked about watching Gigantor. Did you see its original run, or did you see it in reruns?
Do you have a date when it originally ran?
Yeah, let's see. It's in 1963 was the anime adaptation. So let's see.
I haven't.
Um,
Did they? Yeah. Did they have any kind of reruns or?
So it says here that the original manga Tetsujin 28 Go was released in 1956. The show, the anime adaptation, okay, in Japan it was 1963, but in the US it debuted in 1964.
That sounds about right then. Yeah. So I was 3 years old. But it must have ran for a while because it's pretty well. Let me think. 3 to 7, because I think we left that area when I was around 7. We left Lakewood, so I don't know how long it ran for, but that could have been, because it's funny when I look back at my life. There's a 7 year period from the time I was born to about 7 years old, and everything I still love was all in that time. And it's funny because I read when even before our daughter was born that they said from the age of 1 to 7 you're kind of locked into who you're going to be for the rest of your life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So all those seeds are sowed in that amount of time. So in my case, it was definitely 100% correct, because Batman, anime, giant robots, all that stuff came out of that. The Green Hornet, anything that was on around that time. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Because I liked Disney, so I liked a lot of Disney stuff. I liked the Disney parks. Because I think Wonderful World of Disney, or whatever the TV show was on at that time. And not that I was really aware, but like Walt is a master salesman. He partnered with ABC because I think he had the choice of 3 networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC. And those, like CBS and NBC, were doing better in the ratings. They were stronger network, but he went with ABC because he could actually do what he wanted to. And he was kind of convinced that that if he could do what his plan was without like network, interruption or interference, then he could not only put a good show out, but also kind of get interest for Disneyland. So those early Wonderful World of Disney and stuff like that, they were kind of advertisements for the park. And it's brilliant because you don't realize it. Like, he's such a great salesman. You're just like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's cool. Oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And then, there was great shows too, like the Dr. Sin, the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh came out of that. And there was like was it Davy Crockett stuff, and even the Zorro serialized stuff came out of all that. So there were some really good shows that they put out as well. So yeah, all those things are still like deep inside, my heart, and things that I still like to this day. How about you? Were there like seeds that were planted early on?
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me just finish answering this question in the chat. And so Art had mentioned earlier in the stream that the Scarecrow from Romney Marsh sketch has already been awarded, but you guys that are just coming in, you've got plenty of time. He hasn't done the raffle yet for the Gigantor. So if you guys are showing up to see that, you are in the right place.
Yeah, and we'll do it at 4:00. So we do have a time. So 24 hours, I believe, is up around that 4:00 time.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Art, I had within that same window that you were talking about, your first 5 to 7 years, I was watching the Batman 1966 series, The Incredible Hulk on TV with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, the Spider-Man live action TV show that I think it only lasted a season. I was watching the Super Friends,
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, all of those superhero cartoons that are now considered classics. I was watching all of those. The Incredible Hulk cartoon. I think I even watched reruns of the late '60s Fantastic Four cartoon. I
Was
think
that they had to take out the Human Torch, right? Is that the one where they did the thing ring, do your thing?
yeah, yeah, I think so.
Because they said like this is how weird people are. Well, kids will start lighting themselves on fire if they see a cartoon of a guy on fire, and it's like, I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I was a stupid kid, but I knew that they were cartoons. I knew that
yeah,
those weren't real people.
but they uh they had one version where they didn't have him, but then there was another one where they did have him. I can't remember the years,
I bet
but
you the later one was where they took him out. I bet you because I'm a little older than most of the guys in Comicsgate, but uh, I think was it in the late 70s or whatever, where like parental groups and like in the 80s they started really getting down on like, oh, these are bad influences, like even stuff like Tom and Jerry and like the Looney Tune stuff. They were like, this gives kids bad ideas and things like that, and so they started either editing the cartoons or stopped airing them.
right. And then along that same run of years, you had the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, which I really liked. I saw the Ralph Bakshi produced Hobbit cartoon, the animated film.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
liking that when it first came out.
oh, I loved it. I mean, I know there's people who were older that saw it and didn't like it, but as a little kid, that was awesome for me. And that's really what got me interested in fantasy fiction.
Was
Um,
that Batchy or was that Rankin Bass? Who did that?
well, it was yeah, it was Rankin Bass, but Bakshi was the um, what do you call it?
Producer?
Well,
Director?
he was the animate. I don't know. He was either the director or the animation supervisor.
Because remember, like, because that Rankin Bass or Rankin and Bass, those two guys, they had like a really unique style. Like even Thundercats, especially like the opening, trailer at the beginning of the show.
Hmm?
Even those looked that is very stylized. Like even
Yes.
the stop animation stuff that they did, it really had a style. And I thought that the Hobbit had that same look because Batchy has a look too, but it's not as user friendly. Like his stuff is a little edgier, I think, looking.
Yeah, the stuff that he did apart from The Hobbit and the Return of the King animated films, definitely, I would agree with you there. The Rankin Bass stuff that he did, particularly those two Tolkien films. Um, there's a what do they call it in animation? I can't remember. There's a particular style, and I think he almost fused two different styles to come up with those films. And I remember just as a little kid, I those films took me away to another world. I might as well have been sitting in Middle Earth watching that stuff happen.
Yeah, I remember it was very cool. The Golub design I thought was incredible.
Hmm. I agree. Now, Kingdom Comics was saying rotoscope. That's definitely part of it. Kingdom Comics, like Fire and Ice, for example. I love the
Yeah,
rotoscope look of that. Um, At some point I'd love to buy some original animation cells from Fire and Ice and from The Hobbit.
Well, Frank Frazetta was like style guide on Fire and Ice, right?
Yeah, he was the guy for Fire and Ice. He was their creative consultant. I don't know if he actually was animation supervisor, but he definitely designed.
Yeah, he did.
He did concept design for Fire and Ice, the way that Bakshi did for the Tolkien animated films.
Yeah,
and
cool.
So people in the chat are saying a few different things about this stuff. We'll kind of run through them. We're pretty much all in agreement that some of the re-releases of the cartoons are not very good, with them editing out content, things like guns or cigars or stuff like that.
They chop that stuff up.
Shadowhawk said they took the guns out of E.T. I remember hearing that. I have an original cut, so I haven't seen the recut version.
Spirits Car's talking about Max Fleischer. Now you're talking my.
Yeah. He said, "Cool."
You talk about branding. Like Disney just destroyed the Fleischer Studios.
Yep.
And man, I'll tell you, if Max had more of like I guess charisma, was a better salesman, and possibly could have got I guess better designers maybe in, which if he had more money and more of that kind of charisma where he could kind of bring people in and build this thing. That guy was right on the crest, man. You talk about the only competition Disney really had in the early days. And there is even a question whether was it Hoppity Goes to Town or if Snow White was the first like full-length feature. Because I think is that debatable within like cartoon, aficionados?
Maybe someone from the chat can answer that one. I know that Snow White is popularly considered the first, but I don't know if Hoppity is considered a full-length feature or not.
I think it was called Hoppity Goes to Town, and then there was do you remember the Fleischer Gulliver's Travels?
Yep.
The thing was freaking genius.
That was awesome. And the Fleischer Superman cartoons, I still have a stack of VHS tapes somewhere of all the Fleischer Superman animated shorts. They would show them in front of films, and the rotoscoping on that, I mean, people must have just been out of their minds watching that on the screen, because there's such a fluidity to those Superman cartoons that you didn't see in animation outside of the Fleischer Studios at the time.
Yeah, those were they were shorts, right? Is that what actually done? Theatrical shorts.
Yeah, they'd run in front of the feature, and they were serialized. Well, now I'm starting to question my memory. I know that
they weren't serialized.
The Fleischer ones weren't serialized. The thing that popped up in my memory must have been the original Batman serials. The live action Batman serials.
Yeah, I think a lot of the live action stuff was serialized, but I don't think the cartoons were. I don't think they could put them out quick enough to really kind of keep up with the workload.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
But man, I used to collect animation cells in the day, and man, I tried so hard to get my hands on one of those Fleischer Superman cells. Just one, they're very rare, and two, they're very expensive.
Yeah, Bakshi is selling off his cells now. You can get cells for Wizards and Fritz the Cat and The Hobbit.
Did Batchy do remember the Spider-Man TV show, the cartoon, the dun
Mhm.
dun dun dun? Was that Batchy?
Uh, I didn't think so.
Or was that somebody it like stylistically
Let's
it kind of
see.
looked like Batchy? Because it had those like weird psychedelic, not psychedelic, but like Frank Frazetta kind of backgrounds. Like, remember they would just be colors like reds and blacks,
Right.
and then they would just show the same Spider-Man, swinging and shooting the webs over and over again. Oh, Popeye, yeah, that was Flesher.
Popeye was great. Loved Popeye. I almost got anchors tattooed on my forearms when I was in high school.
It's funny because what wasn't the stuff that became Harvey Tunes was all the Flesher stuff too, like Casper and all those cartoons. I think were originally from the Flesher Studios.
Okay, so you were partially right, Art, on Bakshi and Spider-Man.
Okay.
I found an article that talks about it, and it said that the first season of ABC's Spider-Man in 1967 was not Bakshi had nothing to do with. Stanley was a creative consultant, and so was John Romita. It says that Grant Ray Lawrence Animation produced the series. It was jointly produced in the US and Canada. And then that animation company went bankrupt in 68. And then that's when Ralph Bakshi and Krantz Films took over the series.
Okay.
So that's where you start getting the weird painted background effects.
Yeah, even as a kid, I knew that it was to save costs because I was like, this is weird. This isn't even a normal sky. Like this is just some kind of abstract, slashes of colors, and then the same repetitive Spider-Man swinging and shooting his web. And even as a kid, I was like, what's the web attaching to?
Right.
Like there are buildings, but you never see him really hit the buildings. It's like more like clouds. Like I was like, yeah, as a kid, it boggled my mind. I was like, do webs attach themselves to the clouds? Is that possible?
Right.
Yeah. Can that happen?
Yeah, that was a pretty weird. That series took a weird turn.
Oh, I never heard this. I heard Flesher wasn't interested in doing Superman. He gave DC a super high price just so they'd go away, but DC agreed. Well, we would not have Bruce Timm, and we wouldn't have that whole DC Renaissance that happened a few years back if it wasn't for that. Because all the modern, DC animation is all based on those style guides, man. It's almost identical.
Yeah.
Just the builds of the men and just the way the thing was all put together um, was definitely pulled from that. The one cool thing I thought that Bruce Timm and his team were thinking about when they came up with that first Batman cartoon, and then all the Justice League and Superman and all that stuff that came later, is those guys were thinking about action figures.
Yeah.
Because they knew that they were going to sell this as toys. And always the worst is when you have kind of animated wise, it looks cool, but then it just doesn't even apply to like the toys or the sculpts.
Mhm.
And it was amazing because those were some of the coolest looking toys. They looked like the animated, characters. And, I was a little too old for that stuff, but I still did get one of the Batman action figures just to have, on my shelf because they just look so damn cool,
Yeah, and I wonder if that design choice was inspired by Masters of the Universe, because the cartoon was essentially promotional material for the toys. And so they knew from the very beginning that these guys were going to have super bodybuilder proportions. And they made sure that what you saw on the screen was more or less what you got in the action figures.
What I heard, and I don't know how true this is, they did a bunch of what was it, Commando or something like that, Arnold sculpts for a toy line, and the toy line was canceled, so they had all the molds, and so that's why all the bodies are the same. So they basically, so they basically just took a canceled toy line, and that Masters of the Universe was invented just to use those toys. Like it wasn't like the animated inspired the toys. It was more like the toys inspired the animation.
Yeah, for sure. They were gonna do the toys, and they figured they would try animation to sell the toys. And essentially the same thing was done with G.I. Joe. But although that was a bit of a different story, because you had the original going all the way back, inspired by World War II soldiers and whatnot. But when they reinvented the line, they had that action figure animation tie.
You know what killed the 12-inch action figure market?
I had heard, I don't know if it's true, I had heard that it was due to rationing as a result of World War II.
It was in the 60s. I mean, like Captain Action and G.I. Joe sustained into the 60s.
Okay.
And they had, I think, all the way up to the 70s. It was either late 60s or early 70s when they had the oil rations. And so then I was old enough to remember the even odds. So if you had an even license plate, you could get gas on a certain day. If you had odds, then you could get gas on a certain day. So they were definitely rationing off gas at the time. And so I remember that, like, what was it? It was like a documentary or something, and they were saying what pretty much killed the 12-inch figures was it just would be so expensive to make these things that they knew that people were not going to be willing to do it. So then, they got rid of those, and then I don't know what started the 8-inch, whether it was Kenner, the Star Wars figures, or if the G.I. Joe ones came out before that. But I was a little older for that, so I didn't really get into that. But I thought it was a cool idea, because I thought, like, the 12 inches are like, that's bulky, and you can't really have like cars and stuff, because they would be, like if you have a figure this big, you'd have to have their vehicles this big. But if you had a figure this, like 8 inches or whatever they were, then you could actually have vehicles and all that cool stuff that comes along with them. So did the Star Wars come out first, or was it the G.I. Joe?
I'm not a toy aficionado, but from the stuff I've read and the documentaries I've watched, I want to say that as far as the 3.5-inch figures go, I thought that the Star Wars figures came out first. I thought those came out in 78, but I might be off on that.
I agree. That's, my memory says the same thing. I just didn't want to say something and be wrong. I think. Yeah. And then, were they, how tall were they?
They were 3.5-inch, as far as I know. I haven't seen bigger figures from earlier in that time frame.
Okay. Because I remember Chewbacca, like, they were all to scale. So like Chewbacca was taller, and then like the Princess Leia one was smaller, and things like that.
Yeah, R2 was only, I don't know, 2 inches tall or something like that. And then a few years later, if my memory serves, is when the 3.5-inch GI Joe figures came out, because the Star Wars ones were so popular, and they proved out that you could do 3.5-inch figures and kids would go for it.
You're right. Now the 8-inch were the Migos, right? So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
kind of the same idea as a GI Joe, but those were the 8-inch ones, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's all coming back to me. I think I kind of aged out for most of that stuff. So even the Migo figures was that was a little beyond me. I was already kind of too old for them.
Yeah, I I was always too poor to collect action figures when I was a kid. And then when I was in high school and Toy Biz was putting out the X-Men and some of the other Marvel heroes, like Shadowhawk in the chat was saying he still has a bunch of those, and then some of the 12-inch figures. But I remember going every week to Toys R Us, because by then in the early 90s I had gotten into the collector scene, and everybody was talking about how, along with comics, that these Toy Biz figures were going to be the next big thing. And so I was working at a comic shop at the time, and the owner actually paid me to leave the shop and go to Toys R Us and be there when the shipment was received and they were stocking the shelves.
Seriously.
And seriously, he was so into those figures, and I ended up getting I remember the two rarest ones at the time were Iceman and the Invisible Woman. And I was able to get one of each for myself and one of each for the shop. And I had the whole.
What X-Men designs were they? Were they the 90s designs?
They were, yeah, they were the Jim Lee and you know what? I've been meaning to ask you, did you have input on any of those designs that are always credited to Jim, or did he really do all of the work on those?
Jim did all the work. I do remember there's one, and I mean, this is the way I remember it, that Will Spertasio was a big behind the scenes guy, and that guy was prolific. Like all the pages, that I would work on, there would be the front, right? But then there would just be a ton of doodles on the back. Like that guy was a mad doodler, and he just had a billion ideas. So I think that Will's was a big, not only in the style, that kind of uplighting where those kind of like patterns that would go from like thin to thick into like a shadow, all that stuff. I want to say that it was Will's that came up with a lot of that. I think Jim was really good at taking it and making it more commercial, but I want to give. But I don't know 100%, so I don't want to like seem like I'm casting shade, because I mean Jim did a lot of stuff too. A lot of those designs and things were him. But I think it was probably, like a 50-50, and maybe even more Wills than Jim. Just that Wills was just a freaking machine. Like he just did this stuff all the time, different hairstyles. I remember talking to Wills about, like, each character would have their own power, like visual, like each one of the characters, their powers would look unique from the other one. And so even like ink approaches to make them different, like we'll use a brush on this, use some dry brush, use some spattering on this, make this more like open with, several hatches, or like, make it more kinetic looking. And we went back and forth with a lot of ideas, and it just seemed like Wills was always like, he always had a billion ideas. Jim was just about kind of like getting it done and making it look really good. But like I said, I don't mean, because I don't really know the day to day. I just know what I saw.
Yeah, you're speculating I would say it's informed speculation because you were inking those guys and you were working with them for so long.
Yeah, and
But
Wilson just always like how to ink the hair, how to
yeah,
draw this, how to like he was always an idea guy. And also just when I worked with Wills, there was a lot more back and forth. And it was infuriating at times because he was a little bit of a taskmaster. And I kind of liked working, just to be honest, with Jim more because Jim was like, this is awesome. Like
he would just hand it off.
yeah, he was never all that precious about the work. I do remember it was perhaps one of the more iconic shots in our run of X-Men, and it was Psylocke coming out of the water, and there's like the grass, the long grass, and the reeds and stuff like that in like this pond, and she's pulling her hair like it's all wet. She's got her hands up, and she's got a bathing suit on, and she's all wet and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember Jim was like, her thighs are too thick, and I was like, I think it's okay. He's like, no. He's like, I trust you. Make them thinner. And so then I drew them in, and then I faxed it off to him. He goes, great. So those thighs on Psylocke, those were drawn by me. Those are my Psylocke thighs. And looking back, like they were big. But what do you say to even then Jim was kind of like he was Jim Lee. So It's like, no, Jim, they're a little big. They're a little wide. But yeah, so he was just more like things that he might have missed, after the fact. So could you maybe tweak this or change this? But it wasn't really as much as like the day-to-day creative aspects of it. But one thing about working with Wills is, I do feel like that there was back and forth, and there was development. We were working, trying to figure out the visual language of how these characters' hair would look, how their powers would work, different effects and stuff like that. And he was very into that, and that was very cool. It was just a great, like, you look back now and you just go, wow, did this really happen? That was a major part of comics history right there. And to be honest, we were just trying to get things done. It was, the deadlines were so crazy. I think a lot of the times, or at least towards the end, we were sometimes 2 weeks from shipping. So from the time we finished the book to the time it came out on the newsstand, there was only 2 weeks. So these books were never late, but they were down to the frickin' wire, man. There was a lot of stress.
Yeah, I'm glad you said what you said about Wills, because when I look back at some of the stuff out of that era, I thought I saw some Wills influence in Jim Lee, in particular, his art. And then there's a couple of the other guys too. I can't remember offhand a particular issue or panel, but I just remember from time to time thinking that Wills was probably more involved than what he got credit for.
Yeah. And it did make me a little sad that Wetworks didn't come out that first year. He had a tragedy in the family, so he took like a year off. And that was going to be my book. Wilson and I were going to do Wetworks together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then I ended up like not doing that. And then I just started working out of Extreme Studios, Rob Liefeld's studio. And then Wills, I think, had Scott, because I mean, the way it turned out, their schedules, like nobody got anything done on a monthly anyway. So Scott with an assistant could pretty much handle both of those guys. And I think he did for a long time. I think he inked Wills and Scott. I mean, Scott inked Wills and Jim on most of that X-Men stuff. I'm blanking on most of that Image stuff. Yeah.
Scott being Scott Williams.
Scott Williams, yeah.
Yeah, another long-time inker in the business.
Yes, yes. Hey, Mighty Joe, I think it was you. You wanted the mailing address so I could sign those cards up for you. I emailed that out to you. Everybody's got code words, so I'm never sure if because when I get the emails or when the backer, or the PayPals come in, they're like normal names.
Yeah.
And then everybody has code names in the chat here. So it's hard to keep up. So do you have any news? Do we have any
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's going on. There's stuff that I've been kind of collecting for pontificators tomorrow evening. We could either talk about some of the Disney or comics related stuff, or we could go into the giant robots.
Yeah, why don't we do the giant robots, and then after that I can do my self again.
Okay. So, for those who weren't around for the beginning of the stream, we were talking about Gigantor, the Mignola T-Bear piece that's going to be raffled off in a little bit. Art showing that on camera. And so I thought it might be cool to look into the background of Gigantor, and I was surprised at how many giant robots were popular at the time. I was under the impression for some reason that it was one here, one there, but so Gigantor hit the US airwaves in '64, and it was then also broadcast in Australia and a few years later in New Zealand. And then let me bring up this article. And what I didn't realize was that Gigantor was based on the manga Tetsujin 28 Go. And what I didn't know was that in English translates to Iron Man 28.
Really?
Go. Yeah. And they couldn't call him that because Marvel had the trademark and copyright to Iron Man. So they changed his name to Gigantor. And that's why we know him as Gigantor. Because they couldn't call him Iron Man.
He's a space age robot.
And I think Simonon had mentioned earlier in the chat that there is a giant robot in Japan, a giant Gigantor robot.
Are you serious? Like a statue, or?
Yeah, it says in this article that in 2009 it was unveiled. It's 60 feet tall, 50 tons.
Oh man.
So then the creator of Gigantor then developed Giant Robo for TV and also as a manga, and those debuted in '67. And the quote unquote master is a 12-year-old kid who's part of a secret police force known as Unicorn.
Unicorn. What was the one? Was it called Giant Robot? And it was what was the kid? Johnny Sacco or something?
I was just gonna say it was then adapted for American audiences under the name Johnny Sacco and His Flying Robot.
Ah, there you go. Gotta love that too.
Yeah.
Robot. Was that the one that was like, because that was live action, right? And it was like a guy in a suit, like.
I believe so.
like he'd shake around a little bit because it was like slow motion. And didn't he have like a launch pad or something, like a giant robot? Like there was some kind of like a missile silo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like a missile silo that he launched off of.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit's cool, man.
Mighty Joe Young is asking if Gigantor was the inspiration for Iron Giant.
It looks like it, especially the way Mike drew it.
Yeah, I haven't read or heard anything specific about that, but I think that there's definitely some design cues that were taken for the Iron Giant.
Yeah, I think that Brad Bird is just a big fan of all that stuff. So, he's our age, so he's influenced by all the same things, man.
Yep. So then number 3 on the list of giant robots from Japan is Mazinger Z.
I'm not familiar with that.
And but there was, I think that also, did they change? Yeah. Transor Z.
Oh, I know Transor Z, yeah.
Yeah, 1985. But network censors demanded that it be heavily edited for violent content, so some of the episodes make absolutely no sense.
That was the 80s, man.
Yep.
That was the 80s.
Yep. So Transor Z had the kind of the Voltron type head and chest. Even one of his designs, I think, had a giant red V coming off the chest.
Do you remember? God, it was such a cool concept. It was like Batman. It was a manga or anime, and he got into a robot suit or something. What the hell was that show called? He had like an Alfred character, and did he get in the robot suit, or did he operate the robot, or was there even a robot in the show? It was kind of like Batman. The character was just like Bruce Wayne. Big O, that's it. And there was a robot in that, right? Big O.
I never saw it.
You know what? It was on TV for about like 5 minutes.
Oh,
and
okay.
when I was an adult, this was Amanda was a kid, so it was probably like 15 years ago or something like that. And yeah, it was called Big O, which I always thought was like, not necessarily great brand.
Little double entendre.
Yeah. Woo. But yeah, he was somebody. Big O was the robot. Yes, thank you, Dallas Deadeye. You know what? I'm going to look that stuff up. I'm going to write that down because that might be fun to relive. Yeah, so if you guys haven't checked that out, Big O was pretty cool.
And Pablo Romero said there was Aphrodite that shot the rockets from her breasts.
What?
I remember. So I have a vague memory of seeing that. Wasn't there a giant pink robot, and her breast cones opened up and rockets shot out?
Was that in that Big O show? Maybe that's why it didn't last very long. Was Aphrodite in Big O? Because I only remember seeing a handful of episodes. It didn't last very long.
Yeah, he's saying it was in Mazinger Z, which in the US was Transor Z.
Oh, okay. So this way predates that then. Yeah. I mean, probably you can get away with a lot more back then than you can now.
Spear Scar said Astro Boy shot rockets from his butt.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. Wait, okay. Somebody said that's where I saw it then. Mark says it was on Cartoon Network in like 2003, I think. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, it lasted about 5 minutes. I'm sure there's more episodes, but I don't think it lasted very long. Okay, yeah, Pablo says it was that Mazinger Z. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, for us was Transor.
Yeah, it was like Bruce Wayne in a Gundam show. Yeah. Yeah, Astro Boy, is he in your top?
Yeah, I grew up being aware of him, but I really never never watched or read anything about the character. I really don't know much about him.
You know what? This is strange, but the same. The same for me. Like I was always kind of aware of him, but I don't remember any of it when I was a kid. I always thought the design was pretty cool.
So there's another one that I'm totally unaware of, but you might have heard of this one, Brave Radine.
No.
So it said it was released in, I guess this would be in Japan, released in 75. An anime called Radine the Brave or Brave Radine, depending on where it was broadcast, saying it told the story of Akira, a young boy who discovers he's a descendant of the lost continent of Mu. When the Demon Empire attacks Earth, Akira is the only one that can pilot the ancient Mu robot Radine in order to defeat Barao, the leader of the demons.
Barao.
Now this I think this one has some similarities with Voltron because he's saying that after beating up his enemy with missiles, a shield and sword, a boomerang, a bow with giant arrows, and other awesome weapons, Radiant's special finishing move was to turn into the God Bird, a jet plane with even more special attacks.
Wait a minute. That sounds vaguely familiar.
Mm-hmm. It said, with just a few twists and turns, the Chogokin Radiant action figure could change into the God Bird, just like on the show. Since then,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, since then, many other super robots have had alternate forms, including everyone's favorite robots in disguise, the Transformers.
I was just going to mention Transformers. That's one of those, I was way too old for it. But
yeah.
Wow, man. This shit is cool. Because the old Transformers, because my brother had some, he had the Volkswagen, I guess, Bumblebee. And they were metal. They were die cast. So like the robotic parts, like the insides were plastic, but even the axles were metal and the outside was metal die cast.
Yeah.
So they weren't lightweight toys like this. The car was, it was a good size.
Yeah.
And it was fully articulated, man. It turned into a robot. And I was like, who does the math on this? Like it freaked me out the first time I saw it, because it's one thing seeing a cartoon, right? It's like you can cheat it,
right?
But this was a car,
yeah,
and you could just and you kind of had to figure out how to do it. It was kind of like a Rubik's cube. Like It wasn't that easy to figure it out. And those things were, I think, the early ones were built like really strong because they knew that kids were going to have a hard time trying to move these parts. And when my parents passed, we cleaned out the house and everything, and that Bumblebee car was still there. I wish I would have kept it. I gave it to somebody that worked at the studio at the time. They were big Transformers fans, and I gave it to them. But I kind of wish I would have kept it because that thing was pretty cool. They were hefty.
Yeah, they were. And I remember as a kid, one of my favorite Transformers was Soundwave, because he would transform into a boombox, and then his little minions, like the bird Razorbeak, he would transform into a cassette, and you could actually put the cassette into the boombox.
That was the toy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Soundwave was the big robot that you would turn into a boombox, and then his little minions, like Razorbeak, was this pterodactyl-looking type of robotic bird. You would transform him into a cassette, and then you could put the cassette inside the boombox. There was Ravage, who was, I don't know, some kind of like panther. And then Rumble was this little robot with these what do you call those things? not hammers, but like hydraulic rams. His hands would turn into these like hydraulic rams
And
that
they
would pound. They would pound the earth and cause earthquakes and cracks and whatnot. And
like a jackhammer.
oh yeah, now we got some coming from the chat. Rumble, Frenzy, Rampage, Laserbeak. Yeah, and there's some
Great names too, man. Those are great names.
yeah. And a few people in the chat too were saying that they were into BattleTech and Robotech.
Robotech had like some cool, sleek designs, man. That this is all, like, I was an older guy when this stuff came out, but being a comic book person, you still kind of keep up with these things. And I just remember all the designs were very sleek, very cool looking.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends who were into Robotech, and I really liked the books, but I could never get in on a game. So I don't know. I didn't know how to get into it really.
Wasn't the main like villain a handgun? Like it was like a
Oh, and Transformers?
Transformers?
Yeah, Megatron. Yeah, he transformed into a pistol.
Stupid. Like that. Isn't he the main villain too?
Yeah, and it was funny because he would transform into a giant pistol, and then his sidekick Starscream, who normally he would transform into a jet. So Megatron would transform from this big bad robot into a handgun, and then his sidekick would fire the handgun. Which
Are you kidding?
No.
So the sidekick would then use the main villain as a
as a weapon.
Well, that's one change in the movie that was for the better. Yeah. Although I didn't like the Megatron design, I thought it was pretty lackluster in the movie.
Yeah, some of those Transformer designs I thought were fantastic. Others were pretty mediocre, but that also, have you watched any of that documentary series, The Toys That Made Us, on Netflix? Oh, you would love that.
Oh, cool.
The Toys That Made Us. I think they've got 2 full seasons now that are available to watch, and they go over everything from Transformers to G.I. Joe to Masters of the Universe. And every episode is a full documentary on a particular property. And yeah, it's fascinating stuff. They get some great interviews from the people who were, hands-on in creating this stuff.
Yeah, I've been watching some documentaries on was it AMC, Monogram, Revell, and Aurora model kits. Mm-hmm. So I saw that one, and then I think it suggested, or somehow I got turned on to the Mattel story, and I had no idea that Mattel was that's the 2 people's names. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
His name's Matthew something or something like that, and she's Ellie. So it was a husband and wife team, and they just combined their names, and that was Mattel. And it was here in Southern California, and she liked, Mattel was all Barbie, man. The birth of Mattel was all Barbie. They talk, this is so weird where they go, oh, women, there's no powerful women. There's no, Mattel is women. It's it's so frustrating, man. Yep. Just open your eyes. It's everywhere.
Were they the ones that first did Strawberry Shortcake?
Probably, but the thing is, the mom, or they had kids. They had 2 kids.
Okay.
A little boy, little girl, symmetry. And so the little girl would play with paper dolls. And so the mom was just like, wouldn't it be cool if there were 3-dimensional paper dolls? That's like the idea. It just came from 3-dimensional paper dolls that you could dress up and that you could go on your little, your little adventures with. And so the husband, this is so weird, man. Like in the day, they made picture frames and they made like miniature furniture. Like there's a need for miniature furniture. I remember like
Okay.
they like some of the Walt Disney stuff, they said he was fascinated with miniature things. So I guess there were people that made miniature stuff and he did that. And I think between that and just making picture frames, that was how they made a living. And so somehow she came to him and said, I want you to make me a three-dimensional doll, like a fashion doll. And he was like, can't be done, can't be done. So I guess she was just hammered him constantly, as wives can do. And so before you know it, he put a prototype together and they marketed and sold it. And that was like the first Barbie. And Barbie is her daughter's name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was all just a family business. And so then box cars existed before Hot Wheels,
Uh-huh.
but anybody knows, I think Mattel owns Matchbox now, but they were more just kind of like miniature, but they were more realistic versions of, like they were miniature realistic versions of the cars, but they weren't really fun. They were just more just kind of like you show them off, and they weren't that much fun to play with per se. Although I did like they had tractors and stuff like that. I liked those. But that Matt or whatever his name was, he had this idea that what if they had like shocks? What if they could kind of like spring, like the wheels could kind of move like shock absorbers? And what if we made oversized tires? So I think he got one of those Matchbox toys and just kind of modified it at first. And then that was like the prototype for Hot Wheels. And so then they went into production and got design work. And, then, so really when you hear like Mattel is Hot Wheels and Barbie, they are. And there's a guy and a girl, there's a man and woman couple that created the whole thing. So the empire all came from those two early ideas. And I thought it was absolutely fascinating. Just like, today, could you even imagine just a couple building a toy empire, based on, these humble ideas? It's crazy. And then, just like it had a sad story. I guess they, as they were going, they did they were publicly traded, so they were going strong. Mattel was, I think this was in the 60s now, and the couple got busted for tax evasion, like for some hanky panky in the books and stuff like that. So they doctored some some paperwork and things like that. So they were ousted from their own company. So the shareholders and stuff, there's always got to be a sacrificial lamb in a corporate structure like that. So they were kind of kicked out of their own company, which is sad. But that's the Mattel story in a nutshell.
Wow. So do you know if during the oil embargo and the petroleum shortages in the 70s, do you know if that did Barbie prices go up, or did they suspend production or anything like that?
That's the only thing that I think sustained it, and maybe it was just because of the sheer amount of sales. Like, it's not documented in that thing I saw. It was mostly just because Captain Action was the first superhero action figure. And if you don't know about it, I did some work for the company when they revived it. Hold on, I can get some stuff here for you guys. They did these are replicas. These aren't original, but they were kind of like, and they were created by the same person that did the G.I. Joe stuff. So he had an idea that what if you could have a posable superhero, and what if they had costumes, so the one character could be all these different heroes. So they had like these suits, and so you could basically turn this character here, this Captain Action, into
Mm-hmm.
all these different heroes. And this is like, this isn't the original 60s stuff. This is later.
Mm-hmm.
So they had limited licensing. This is plain Mantis. So they had, they couldn't get the DC and Marvel stuff, even though later on they did get the Marvel stuff.
Hmm.
But these were kind of like the retro boxes they redid. So the idea is that you get basically your GI Joe,
Yeah.
and then you can get these different costumes and stuff like that, and you can outfit them. And I believe that the first Spider-Man official license was for Captain Action. So Marvel licensed Spider-Man to Ideal Toy Corporation, and they made the Captain Action costume. I think it's the most expensive. The Green Hornet and the Spider-Man are the most expensive. So I don't have any of the toy designs I did, but I think they're in. Actually, they're in here. I worked for them, and I did some package designs. They were trying to do these retro coffin boxes.
Was that in your in between Marvel and DC?
Yeah. So yeah, I was still working at, I think, Marvel when I did all this stuff.
Okay.
These are different box designs that I did, and then here's like on the one side are a bunch of different sketches and things like that. And then later they did, I think they're at Dynamite now. They're making new comic books, and I think DC in the 60s did a comic book line as well. Yeah, so they've kind of had a little bit of a resurgence, and I think that Steve Jeppy in the Jeppy Museum or whatever has some of the original stuff. And so this they did a couple years back. So this is kind of a more contemporary version of it. And these were like in Toys R Us and stuff like that.
Wow.
So they were able to get the Marvel license. I saw the Batman prototype. They had a prototype for Batman and the Joker, but they never happened. And one fun claim to fame with Captain Action is that character Dr. Evil that they used in the Austin Powers.
Yeah.
That is from the toy. I heard what's the guy, the actor that played
Mike Myers?
Michael Myers. Yeah, he said that's where he got the name from.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, he got the Dr. Evil from the toy. And the funny thing is when Plain Mantis decided that they were going to like revamp the toys and come out with them again, they couldn't use Dr. Evil because they lost the copyright. So I think they had spelling or something, It's so funny how these things work.
Dr. Evil.
$1 million or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just fun stuff. And I've done a lot of different things for those Captain Action guys over the years, just because, when I was a kid, I always thought the toys were kind of cool.
Yeah, Mighty Joe Young wants to know if we're ever going to see you do a Green Hornet, Lone Ranger, or Human Target story.
Yeah, I've been in. Well, I had one conversation with Dynamite about possibly doing a Green Hornet black and white crossover cover. So that would be awesome. That the Vampirilla one was pretty cool, but the Green Hornet and Kato, those are my guys. Sexy Chicks are cool, but I like those guys.
Spirit Scar is asking if we have seen the Barbie X-Men dolls. He says they did Phoenix, Storm, and Mystique. I have not seen them. Let me see if I can get some decent pictures here.
I know Mattel does pretty decent stuff with their Barbie line. My mom was a doll collector, so she had a bunch of the Barbie collectible stuff. Yeah, Mattel doesn't mess around with the Barbie license at all.
Oh, looks like they premiered at Comic-Con last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they went with the Dark Phoenix costume.
Do you have the visual? I can share it. So
Yeah.
Trevor Wombat says your boy Zach was looking for a true Green Hornet fan on his last video. That would be me. I listen to all the radio shows and everything.
So there's a bunch of ads on this page, but these are also some pretty good pictures. So I'll share the screen and I'll just try to keep the focus on the figures. Try and knock out some of these ads here.
Oh, no problem.
All right. I'm going to share. Okay.
Let me get my
Let's
glasses
see.
so I can see. Oh, there it is.
How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not posed very, I think Mystique looks a little weird.
So that's the initial, and then we'll go down. Here's some other poses
Oh,
here.
yeah, that's way better. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good. So these are Barbie or are these non-related?
No, these are Barbie.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Storm's neck is a little too long.
Yeah, it's really skinny too, but that's kind of the proportions of Barbie. They kind of elongate everything.
Yeah.
That's cool that they went old school. Like
Yeah, with the costume.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a Barbie face, but definitely with the character, the comic book, that looks real Barbie right there. Yeah, the neck is a little thin. Wow, they're pretty well done.
Yeah, I think the hair especially.
She's
looks
walking away.
Yeah, it looks like they're articulated.
Yeah, they had the cool knees. Very cool. So this isn't quite working out the way I wanted it to, but you can see it now that I'm inking it. You can see it a little bit better.
Can you blow that? Can you enlarge your screen?
I can. There we go.
Oh yeah, there's our girl.
Yeah, so there's Whitney Sung. She's coming together. Wish you could see the body. You can see parts of it. There we go. So yeah. Well, let's touch base, and we're actually past the time. It's 4:30. So we're past our 24 hours, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna check in on the campaign.
Yeah, let's check in on the campaign. So what we're doing is we're going to give this piece of artwork away absolutely free, no strings. Well, one string. You have to back a chrono book. So if you back a chrono book, we will use your backer number, and then we will raffle that off. And we will pick a number, and then whoever gets their number picked will win this piece of artwork. And I'll mail it out ASAP. We did it earlier in the week, and it was a big success. People dug it. And I did a poll and asked you guys if you wanted it, me to do it again. And you said, yeah. And then I think I gave you 4 choices, and you picked Gigantor, which was awesome because that's the one I really wanted to do. And so I did that up, I think yesterday I did it live. I inked it up. And so we're gonna raffle that off today. So I was hoping that we'd get 4 backers, just 4 backers. I know that we had 2 backers early on. Let me see if we have any more. 541. 541. All right, so we still need 2. What was that sound? That was weird.
Sorry, that was me. My mic stand.
Oh, was it a spring? Is there a spring in it?
Yeah, I went to move my arm and my knuckle hit the spring on the boom.
Yeah, it sounded like an instrument. It sounded like, like a strumming of a guitar or something. Like it's like boom. It was pretty mellow. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We still need 2 more backers. I know what we're gonna do. I know what we're gonna do. Who cares? Who cares about the backer? We're still going to get this into somebody's hands, and we're going to do it live. We're going to do it live. We're doing it live. So I'm going to yell and see if my wife can bring in her phone so we can do a number generator, and we'll figure out who's going to win this piece of artwork. And if there's anybody that still wants to back a book, now would be probably a good time to do it, because you'll be entered into the raffle. After I do the raffle, hands off. All bets are off. So if you want to qualify to get this piece of artwork, you need to back right now. So I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to yell.
Adrian!
Yeah, so she's coming in. Yeah. Come on, 85. Very, very cool. Yeah, so we're going to do the number generator. We're gonna get this artwork into some lucky person's hands. So like I said, if you want to be part of the raffle, back a Chrono book ASAP, because my wife's in here with the number generator, the big number generator. We're 54. Hold on, let me double check. 51. So 5. Oh my gosh, 51. No, it's not 51. 541. Dyslexic much? Yeah, 541. You want me to do it?
Sure.
All right. So all I have to do is hit this generate button, right?
Right.
Man, this is all blown out. I don't think you guys can see this. I'm gonna hit this button. So, oh my gosh. It says 4.6. You can kind of see it if I turn.
Yeah, I can see 416, something like
416, yeah.
that. Okay,
So
yeah, I see it.
It's 416. Yeah, when I do it this way, you can't. I think it's the reflection of the screen, actually. What happens is the computer screen, I think, reflects the light back at the camera. That's why it doesn't work. So yeah, 416 is the number. Did you write it down?
Mm-hmm.
416. So if somebody has, wait. Oh my gosh, Junkyard done. You actually got me excited. I thought you won. He says, congrats, 416.
I'll go make sure it's a good number.
Yeah, so Pamela's going to go down stairs and check the campaign and make sure that it's a valid number, because sometimes people cancel, and then those numbers, they stay in the campaign, but there's just nobody, there's no tier attached to it anymore. My number was 554. That's pretty funny. How could your number be 554?
I was just typing. I think that it's due to some people refunding and then backing again, or like, you know how people will cancel and then upgrade their order, doesn't that get you to a point where your backer numbers go up higher than your total number of backers?
Maybe.
I thought I remembered somebody saying that for their campaign because they got confused over it, and then they figured out that some
We want a T-shirt of Art yelling at. Who won? Who won? We don't know yet. We don't know. It's 416 though. 416. Wait a minute. There's no reason for that kind of talk. If you are going by number of backers, the latest backers are left out. Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. I thought the ultimate, like 1 to whatever the newest number stays in, but they just check out they just cancel out the ones in between. But the numbering still stays the same. But I can check later. What does this say? Shadowhawk. I also back number on Indiegogo may be different. I got 559 last week and 571 today. Huh.
It's good.
Hey Pamela, we might want to do this again because how does it work in the campaign? How many actual backers do we have? Because the campaign says it's 541, but some people are saying they have backer number like 559 and 571.
That's true.
Okay.
Because I don't know how it works, but yeah, you actually might want to redo it. I hadn't thought of that. Can you go to the site?
Well, I think Shadowhawk said he backed it today. So his number was 571. So that's probably the highest number.
Well, go to the...
I can't with this. Yeah.
Oh, well, I will go...
Yeah, just check because it's probably 571, and then we'll just do 1 through 571. Since I don't think anybody in the chat says, yes, do it again. 516 is a big fat jerk. Well, we don't know that. Unless you know something I don't care, Wombat.
Yeah, Wiggle Wiggle says their number is 554.
Yeah, I wish I would have known this sooner, but Art is lost in the sauce. Not yet. I'm not lost in the sauce yet.
But the day is early.
Yeah, it can still happen. We can make that happen. That's one thing I can honestly say I have control over.
Baz was asking, and I don't know if you've given a date yet, but he was asking when the next, not the Second Chance campaign for Black and White, but when the next book.
The next, like volume 2 of Black and White.
When do you expect the next volume to come out?
I'm working on the story right now, so I'm hoping a month or two. So probably in the summer months sometime.
Okay.
So, April, May, June, July. Hopefully, I want to get a good jump on it before I launch, though.
Yeah, 571.
All right, so let's number generate 1 through 571. Was that right? 571? Yeah. Okay, so let's do this again. I'm going to hit the generator button. Boom. Man, that happens fast. 360.
Let me go check that.
So we're going to see if 360 is a valid number. The drama. Everybody's on the edge of their seats right now. And if you want to be part of this, well, I don't know if we could do that. We can't do that. No.
Pass says thanks. He really liked the first volume of Black and White.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's definitely coming, and I have some killer ideas for the follow-up. Art is so confused. I'm always confused, dude. I'm in a perpetual state of confusion. Yeah. These things never go easy.
One of the classic traits of being an artist.
Yeah, I know how to draw. That's about it. And even some days I'm not so sure about that. The winner is backer 360. Yeah, so Pamela's downstairs right now seeing if 360 is a valid backer number. And if it is, then 360 is the winner. If not, we will do the number generator again. So this is the artwork, you guys. So killer. It was a lot of fun to do, and it's a fun thank you to everybody that has supported not only this channel but Chrono and Black and White and all my campaigns.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. So it's official, you guys. Number 360 is the winner. Is the wiener. So very cool. So congratulations, 360. And if I do this raffle thing again, I will make sure I do all of the numbers. I knew that some of the backer numbers didn't work, but I didn't know that it kept the numbering system going. I figured that the numbers on the site were the actual, backer numbers, even with the canceled numbers.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it the last drawing.
Junkyard Don says, I still haven't opened my Black and White package. New baby cake a week early, so I've been so behind lately. I'll try to open it up tonight after work. Can't wait to read it. Yeah, take pictures of it. Send it to me, and I'll post it around. I'll post it around town and show that bad boy off. I hope you like it. Yeah, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into that book. I don't know how else to do it. I'm all or nothing. 360 is CB's. Chabowski, maybe we should draw again. There's no way he backed this campaign. You're giving CB way too much credit. There is absolutely no way.
He's too busy reading New Warriors.
Yeah, and he's too busy telling people to go eat at New York restaurants when he should be telling people, how, they can get their comic books and figuring out how to get past this pandemic situation. But so much are the leaders there at Marvel right now. So all I can say is FCB. And all those current Marvel F-heads. How's that? Hey, we could have used this a half hour ago, Jude, when we were counting down everything. Jeez.
Yeah, it's too bad you don't have anyone on the show with you that's a mod, Art. Somebody could have dropped a link for you.
Yeah, that would have been good while I was talking about, get your last backings in to win the artwork. But hey, what the heck?
Apparently you're not the only one who's sauced.
Jude and Joe. You guys are snoozing at the wheel. Nah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Spirit Scar says CB would only back if a bonus was a submarine sandwich.
Yeah, that guy has his priorities. His priorities are his stomach, and that's about it. So, yeah, we got the two artwork numbers. So those are going to go out probably later this week. So 360 won this Gigantor Mike Mignola RT Bear jam piece that I inked live. So check that video out. I think it was from yesterday. It was a lot of fun. If nothing else, it gives me an excuse to draw and ink for you guys. And so I've been working on this, which the camera is not being cool. So
there you go.
This is Whitney Sung, aka White. And she, you know what? I have this. It might show it better. This is the layout. So this is a printout. So this is kind of what the pose will look like. So there you go.
Cool.
So now you got that. And I think, let me, you need more mods. Yeah, I gotta find out who I can trust. I modded some guy and he ran amok in my my stream. I need people I can trust. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna share. I have another campaign. Well, it's not my campaign, it's Dynamite's campaign. And I did a variant cover for them. That's not it. It's this. And so we are down to 34 hours. 34 hours. And we're at 8,127, which is really good. Most of these campaigns, like non-Comicsgate, these crossovers, they go like 6,000, 7,000. So we're right in there with Joseph Linsner and some of the others that have done these campaigns. So not bad, you guys. But we have 34 hours to kick some serious butt. So I don't know, man. I know 10,000 is a lot to ask, but that'd be cool to do a nice round 10 grand. But at the very least, we're headed towards that 9K. So yeah, so if you haven't heard, I have done a jam like Hack Shack Studios and Dynamite Entertainment. We got together and brainstormed and came up with this cool crossover cover, which has Vampirilla. She is celebrating her 50th anniversary, and my black and white characters are celebrating their 25th. So they are half her age. So yeah, so we have the featured item is 3 covers signed. And then we have the standard edition cover, the line art, the much coveted line art edition, and then the Virgin without any logos or texts. And the ones on the side here, these tiers, these do not come signed. I believe the only ones that come signed are the featured tiers. So we just added on the T-shirt. You guys wanted it. I talked to Dynamite. They made it happen. So we got the T-shirt, and then we have the line art variant, and then we have 3 covers, and these are the unsigned versions. And then we have the original Vampirilla sketch, which I'll do up for you guys. And then we have black and white one as well. So those are very, very cool. And here's what they'll look like. So this is a better version. Oh, excuse me. Of what they'll look like here. I have one here that I can show the camera, show off to the camera as well. So yeah, if you haven't, come by, check it out. If you like what you see, please back. And we have 34 hours left. So we are nearing the end. My only friend, the end. Oh, it's right here. It's right on my lap. So this is the Vampirilla doodle that I can work up for you guys. Stupid light. There it is, right there.
She's a beaut, Clark.
She's a beauty. She's 1 in a million. She's 1 in a million girls. Yeah. So yeah, we have those 2 things. And please, we have a pre-launch for Black and White. So go there, pre-launch. Give us your name, your contact, and you'll be the first to be notified when the campaign, the Second Chance campaign, goes live. So if you haven't heard, we're going to give all you guys a second chance at the first Black and White. I think I have a copy of it somewhere around here. Where is it? Oh, That's not it. Oh, it's right here under all my stuff. So yes, this is the Greg Capullo variant cover. This is volume 1. So next month we are going to launch a second chance. So we have 200 of these Greg Capullo variants, and we have 500 of the standard cover versions. And if you sign up for the pre-launch, you will get absolutely free with a backing the Zach Bradley trading card. So that'll be pretty cool. And I've showed it off before. I'm gonna post it on my social media a little later too. So if you want to check out my Twitter, you can see the trading card. It came out really cool, and it's going to be like a commemorative 25th anniversary trading card. So if you back a tier, you will get that trading card absolutely free, but you have to sign up. So why risk it? Sign up today. Sign up today. And it also helps our algorithms when we go live. So when we go live, we can get more eyes on it with you guys.
And people would get that link via email that you send out from the campaign page. Is that right?
Yeah. So you guys will get alerted before we go live, so you can get right in there. And sometimes we have early bird specials. So the early bird specials sell out quickly. So we're not sure what they're going to be yet, but there may be an early bird special. So yeah, you got to get in there early because they do sell out. And usually there's either a one of a kind collectible that comes with it, or a discounted price. So that's usually what those early birds have. So back chrono mechanics before it's too late. Otherwise, you will need a time machine to get one. Exactly. Those were exactly my thought. So I think I've done all my due diligence. I've shield. Is that what we call it? Shekel, shelled, shield,
Shield.
shield. I always want to think like shield, like you're gonna shield somebody. Yes, I want that Oodles bundle. Ooh, who doesn't? So, Joe, do you have a parting shot, a pearl of wisdom?
I would say if you guys are available tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, tune in for the Pontificators. We're going to have a great show. We've got some hot topics cooking up, stuff related to the comic book industry, stuff related to the whole economic situation from the pandemic, things that are both affecting the worldwide economy, but then also how that stuff is affecting the comic book world specifically.
Yeah, things are changing every day, so more stuff is coming out. I wish we had more hope with the comics industry. There's little glimmers here and there, but I would like to hear some bigger long-term plans, not just short term, because I think we have a great opportunity right now to look at the comic industry, not just the pandemic problem, but there's some stuff that even predated the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope our leaders, our comic book heads of these publishing companies are taking all that stuff into consideration, and maybe this would be a good time to just make some major shifts, to try some new stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think we could use it right now. And these are long-term problems that a lot of people have seen and have had for decades now. So yeah, so check out Pontificators tomorrow, 6 Pacific Standard, 9 o'clock Eastern, and we are going to rock it. So thank you guys so much. Thanks, Joe, for helping out and doing some heavy lifting for me so I can get some drawing done. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you, sir. One of the good guys here, Joe Thunderbuns. So very good. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care and be safe.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, be nice to